Chapter 20, Tayul. A neighborhood accounting. It's chilly outside. I hope we won't have to stand around too long. The block leader takes the count. Then he hands the megaphone over to an army officer who starts shouting about Japanese victories at sea. The flower of Japanese youth has blossomed into victory, his voice is excited. A special attack unit of the Divine Imperial Forces has inflicted terrible damage on the enemy fleet. Our military leaders are geniuses, and the young men who serve under them are heroes in the truest sense of the word. Now he tells a story from the past, something that happened centuries ago. I'm tired of learning Japanese history, but the story's interesting. An enemy navy invading from the west, more than 3,000 powerful ships sailed from across the sea, determined to land on our shores. But just before they reached the coast, there was a terrible storm, a typhoon. The wind raged and battered at their sails, and every single enemy ship floundered and sank. It was a kamikaze, a divine wind, a sign that our people are indeed favored by heaven. The Emperor has honored the heroes of today with this glorious memory of the past. The pilots of the Special Attack Unit are to be known as the Kamikaze. They are the divine wind and will blow us to victory over the White Devils. Pilots. The Special Attack Unit are pilots who fly airplanes. The Kamikaze have made the ultimate sacrifice. They displayed the utmost in skill, and their bravery is all but impossible to imagine. No enemy will ever be able to withstand such power. He talks about how the sickly pale Americans cowered before the courageous kamikaze. He says the same thing a dozen different ways, but for once I don't mind. As long as he's talking about airplanes and pilots, I'll keep listening. Then he says something I can hardly believe. The kamikaze pilots flew their planes towards the American ships. Each plane was equipped with bombs. The kamikaze deliberately crashed into the ship so their bombs would explode and cause the maximum damage. The kamikaze are commanded by their leaders to fly straight into their deaths. They're suicide pilots. I'm amazed at their bravery. It's one thing to know you might die in a battle, but choosing to die is something else, something special. I do everything I can to find out more about the kamikaze. I read the endless stories about their bravery in the newspapers Dewey brings home. I even start talking to a guard whose regular beat is our street. His name is Shingawasha Shan, but I always think of him as Spadeface because his face is so flat. He wanted to be a pilot but was disqualified. Poor vision. When he tells me that, I quickly look down the street towards a shop front with signs to make sure I can read something far away. Spadeface talks about how tough it is for the kamikaze to hit their targets. They fly their planes hundreds of meters above the sea, hidden by cloud cover. Just imagine, he says, they come out of the clouds and have to dive at once before the enemy spots them and starts to fire. From that height, the target looks no bigger than grains of rice. Once a plane is at a high dive speed, it's almost impossible to direct its course. Can you imagine the skill? Only the best pilots are chosen for these missions. The kamikazes are treated like princes. They get the best of everything the Imperial Forces can offer. The best food, the best accommodation. Their final meal before a mission is rice with red beans and a grilled bream and sake. Rice with red beans is a dish Koreans eat too for special celebrations. I haven't had it in a long time, but I still remember. The little red beans turn dark purple as they cook. When I was little, that always seemed like magic to me. The white rice is dotted with bits of color, delicious. Those beans hiding in the middle of a mouthful of rice. I love fish, but there hasn't been any in the marketplace for ages, not since Pearl Harbor. Every boat and ship has been taken for the military. Sake is rice wine, like our Korean sul. Spadeface tells me that the pilots each drink 3 cups of sake. They bow before drinking each one, first towards the shrine on the base, then to the emperor in the direction of the palace, and the last drink for their families. They bow toward their hometowns. Then they march onto the airstrip to their planes. The whole base salutes them as they fly off. I pretend it's me drinking sake, heading out onto the tarmac, and then taking off. Nothing but air underneath me and my plane.